We'll dedicate
Rolling.
to the. Okay.
Whenever you're ready,
All
take
right.
a beat.
Ask me who I am. Do an interview.
Okay, you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Patrick Arthur O'Rourke. I've worked for the Los Angeles County elections since I believe the early 90s. I worked all the major elections, and since the last 3 or 4 elections, I've hosted I've been the host table for the Community Election Center, I believe it's called, and I just got a story to tell about the last election, about the one with Hillary and Trump, and the primary.
Yeah, you said that you noticed there were some anomalies or something in registration process.
Yeah, I've been working, like I said, for a couple of decades now, and one major thing that happened was that we had 3 machines down. My machine was down and 2 other people's machine was down. I got a report from one of the other tables in my community neighborhood voting center, NVC, that there was a vote on one of the machines. And mine was they had already entered a password. I was familiar with my machine being down in the past. It had only been down one other time since then. And that machine, I was able to get back online. This one actually someone had entered the code to access the internals before I even got it. It had not been turned on until I took it out there to the community center for the voting. And one other machine it just wouldn't boot up at all. And with 4 precincts, it struck me as a very odd, with all the reports at state. The other states were reporting that their machines were tampered with. And for me, it became an issue because I called up the county. There was no one available. They were telling me that there were so many people, so many machines down, that they couldn't send one to my precinct. With 4 machines, 3 of them down, they had no one to send to my precinct.
Wow.
I told them that I suspected that mine had been tampered with and that one of the other machines had a vote on it. And I asked them in the book, when you write down, as an inspector, what you do, you write down any issues that you came across, and you write down anything that you want. And I wrote to them to please contact me because I was concerned about election fraud, and I was concerned that my precinct had been compromised. And my neighborhood voting center, nothing. I didn't get one word, and nothing in the news, nothing in the county. It disturbed me greatly. I've been working for a long time. My precinct has never been closed. The second election I worked, we had no booths across the county. Remember those cardboard booths? Well, they hadn't delivered them. And I was working out of the old Salvation Army building that's now the something Gardens over there in Hollywood for the youth. It's a nightclub for the youth, and I'm telling you, the news crew came up to me and they were saying, "Oh my God, you're open, you're open. How is it that you're open?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, how is it that I'm open? It's election day." "Yeah, but none of the booths were delivered." I said, "So? You just set up on, curbside voting rules." And they said, "What do you mean?" And I asked them, "What do you mean no one's open?" And they told me that they had been to several precincts and they were getting reports that the polling centers were closed. So I got into the camera like this. I told them, use curbside voting rules. Either have those voting, the old punch card ones in front of them, hand them out, have them vote in a secluded area, but where they can see them, and then hand their entire card and the voting booth, the punch card with it. Use curbside voting rules. And I was fine. I've been doing stuff like this all my life, solving problems, and I couldn't believe that we had so many machines that were out. I mean, come on. You don't have voting booths? You vote curbside. You don't have machines up? You have a way to solve it. And we were getting reports from other states before that day because they had other states that were voting in before us. And it was just astounding that no one in the county was concerned, that no one in the county had thought to address this, that it might happen in LA.
Well, you know, the one thing that I did notice when I went to vote, and a friend of mine mentioned, is that he was unregistered. This woman who lived with her boyfriend in her mom's house was unregistered. Did you have did you notice any kind of like anomaly in the amount of complaints of people lost registration? I know that seemed to be an issue.
The last couple elections, major elections, not the city elections. I've worked the city elections too through the county now. All city elections are held through the county now to avoid those kind of indiscrepancies. But the last two major elections, I've always had problems with constituents saying they didn't get their, their card, their booklet. Usually what the case is, they haven't looked that their precinct has changed because it relies on availability. The closest one to their address is the one that they're registered with. Or if there's a large part over here and not enough over here, they'll move some of the people that are closer to that precinct over to the one that doesn't have enough registered voters. So they kind of try to balance it out, and depending on who volunteers their space is where your precinct is. It's not based on where you voted before. So, and sometimes people just forget that if they haven't voted, that they need to re-register. They need to at least mark, nothing. Otherwise, they get into the inactive list. And sometimes, if they wait too long, they'll actually not get any more mailings.
It's always on your sample voter guide, though, right?
Yeah. All that's on your samplers voter guide. And if you go to the LA Vote website, which is an official county website that's on your voter guide, you can read all the rules, regulations of what you're allowed to do, what you're not. Okay. But the last two elections, we had a slew of people that I wouldn't say seemed to be purged, but seemed to have, been removed or taken out. And this was their precinct. They were in our book, but they just weren't in, they didn't have their information. Or they were in our address area and they were just not in there. Again, from what I understand of LA County, we try to let you vote anyways. We're not the voting police. The people you see on camera are not the voting police. We don't have the documents and the information to tell if you're a fraudster voter or not. But if there's a question, we do write in the book. Or if you're voting, provisional, we do write the explanation in there why it is.
Yeah,
and they're the ones who have your signature. Every time you fill out a DMV card, every time you fill out a voter registration, every time you sign a document for the county or for the state, Commerce, I believe it is, Norwalk. The registered recorder's office in Norwalk has a sample of all your signatures. So if someone tries to forge your signature and you challenge it, there is no problem. And they catch a few every year. My friend used to bag about that he could vote 20 times. And then, he's passed away, so I can talk about it. But the FBI showed up to him, and he was a bit chagrined, and he explained what he was doing, and they let him go. But the bottom line was that he was caught. He voted 14 times and bragged about it. But
just to prove the flaws in the system or something?
Yeah, but they caught him.
Oh, I see.
The FBI showed up. That means that the feds showed up. Even though it's committed under county auspices, the Federal Bureau of Investigation showed up. So it was serious, and he promised never to try it again.
Well, thank you very much for that.
In addition, we forgot to go ahead and put this in, but one of the things that you need to do is make sure you can go to the LA Vote website and check your registration status all the way up to the day that you're voting. So if you're registered at the website, they'll be able to tell you where to vote and if you're even registered. I want everybody to understand, LA County, in my belief and my experience, makes it possible for everyone to vote. If someone's going to commit fraud, though, they have a good amount of personnel. They hire people out of, they take people out of different departments to work those ballots to make sure that the votes are processed on a timely manner. And if you vote provisional, if you're forced to provisional, they count all the votes. They make sure that they're all counted, including the provisional, even if one side won a lopsided win. So never use that as excuse that your vote didn't count. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Patrick.